So this is Bucky right here, y'all. This is his Twitter account here. So this is Deion Sanders Jr. Twitter account. Let me blow this all the way up for y'all. So we also know that the quarterback tracker came out yesterday. And Bucky said it's a beautiful thing. Now, we know on that quarterback tracker, they did not count Shedeur Sanders 2 touchdowns. Here's the very tracker right here. They did not count this man touchdown.
2 touchdowns just disappeared. Not on the field, not in the box score, on a quarterback tracker that's supposed to tell fans exactly how the Cleveland Browns quarterback battle is going. Shedeur Sanders threw 2 touchdowns in the preseason. 2. And somehow, when the official tracker went up, they weren't counted. That's not a rumor. That's not a hot take. That's something Deion Sanders Jr. himself flagged directly, pulling up the tracker next to the actual game footage and showing the touchdowns, right there, plain as day, missing from the record. So now the question isn't just, is Shedeur playing well? The question is bigger than that. Why does it feel like the numbers keep working against him? And what happens next in Cleveland is about to make that question a lot harder to ignore.
Shedeur, you've had a full off season without having to worry about pro days or combine or the draft, just work and prep for year 2. With the spring, the summer, and a preseason game in the books, how you feeling?
I feel really good. I'm excited about everything, excited about the team, excited about overall us players banding together a little more, spending this time together, so I'm excited.
You had 3 drives in the first preseason game in Chicago. What are you taking from those reps as you prepare for this start this week against the Bills in the preseason?
Just certain mental notes I need to take in the next game, obviously, and apply them, play more of a cleaner game, I would say.
Let's start with where this actually comes from, because the timeline matters here. Shedeur Sanders sat down for an interview reflecting on his first full offseason as a pro. No draft process hanging over him, no combine, just football. He talked about feeling good, feeling excited about the team, about the players building chemistry together. Then he broke down his 3 drives in the preseason opener against Chicago, saying he was taking mental notes, looking to clean up his game and stay consistent from drive to drive. Standard stuff, a young quarterback talking about growth. Nothing dramatic. But here's where this gets interesting. Around the same time, the Browns quarterback tracker dropped, a tool meant to give fans a clear, objective read on how each guy in the quarterback competition is performing. And that's when Deion Sanders Jr. stepped in, pulling up the tracker and the film side by side, showing Shedeur touchdowns that simply weren't reflected in the numbers. Think about what that means for a second. This isn't a debate about opinion. Touchdowns either happened or they didn't, and according to the footage, they happened. That's where the story stops being about performance and starts being about perception, about who controls the numbers the public sees and whether those numbers are telling the full story. Now here's the part that makes this even messier. Jared Verse, a newly acquired Browns defender, sat down for his own conversation about the move from a Super Bowl contending Rams to a rebuilding Browns roster. He talked about the difference in vibe, how the Rams locker room was locked in, business first, veteran energy, while Cleveland's room is younger, looser, guys still in their first, second, third years figuring things out together. Then he got asked directly, does he know who the Browns' starting quarterback is? His answer, he doesn't know. He said he's got a feeling about who he thinks it'll be, but he's not saying it. No name, no confirmation, just a vibe he's keeping to himself. That's a teammate, someone in the building every single day, and even he won't commit to an answer.
If Shedeur had no real shot, it's his fault, no one else's. And people need to accept that. You, me, and Jason Lloyd are never going to be able to convince people that it's not Jimmy who wants Deshaun Watson to start, are we? It's never going to happen.
No, people have made up their mind.
Okay. I'm just making sure. I mean, you agree with me on the whole, like, we're trying to sell a stadium here in PSLs, and they're not going to want to play a guy that people called in yesterday and said they're going to drive and spend their money and park and go through all the rigmarole to go to the stadium to boo him in the third quarter.
Yeah, that's what ownership wants. They
All
can't
right,
wait.
I'm just making sure because they spent $40 million, even though they're going to spend over $2 billion.
And knowing that opener, that'll be even though it won't be nationally televised.
If the people closest to this quarterback battle aren't sure how it's going to shake out, how confident should anyone else be that they know the real story? But there's another part of this that matters just as much, because the loudest voice pushing back against the Cleveland is against Shedeur narrative isn't a Cleveland insider defending the front office. It's sports radio host Aaron Goldhammer, arguing the opposite side entirely. His argument goes like this: if Shedeur hasn't earned the job yet, that's on him, not some conspiracy. He pointed to the fact that Cleveland is trying to sell PSLs and fill a brand new stadium, and ownership isn't exactly motivated to trot out a quarterback fans are ready to boo. He brought up Deshaun Watson's situation too, the contract, the history, the national scrutiny that comes with him, arguing that ownership has every incentive in the world to want Shedeur to succeed, not fail. And then he said something that cuts right through the noise. Shedeur hasn't been wronged. He's been blessed. Blessed with a rebuilding roster that plays its young players. Blessed with a new offensive line. Blessed with actual weapons around him. Blessed with a city that, according to Goldhammer, wouldn't hand this kind of opportunity to a rookie quarterback almost anywhere else in the league. So now you've got two completely different versions of this story sitting right next to each other. On one side, a tracker that mysteriously left out 2 real touchdowns, and a brother publicly calling it out. On the other, a respected voice in Cleveland media arguing there's no sabotage here at all, just a young quarterback who needs to go earn it in a situation that's actually stacked in his favor. Both of those things can't be the full picture, and that's exactly why this story is worth paying attention to. Here's the detail a lot of casual fans are going to miss. Nobody in any of this, not Jared Verse, not the Cleveland media voices, not even Shedeur himself, has actually named a starting quarterback. Not officially. Verse said he has a feeling but won't say it out loud. The radio debate danced around Deshaun Watson's name without ever confirming a decision, and Shedeur's own comments were about preparation and consistency, not about locking down a job. That tells you something important. This competition is still genuinely open. The tracker controversy might raise real questions about how the story is being presented to fans, but it doesn't prove the decision has already been made behind closed doors. Those are two very different things, and it's easy to blur them together when you're this deep in the noise.
Shedeur, you've had a full off season without having to worry about pro days or the combine or the draft, just work and prep for year 2. With the spring, the summer, and a preseason game in the books, how you feeling?
I feel really good. I'm excited about everything, excited about the team, excited about overall us players banding together a little more, spending this time together, so I'm excited.
You had 3 drives in the first preseason game in Chicago. What are you taking from those reps as you prepare for this start this week against the Bills in the preseason?
Just certain mental notes I need to take in the next game, obviously, and apply them, play more of a cleaner game, I would say. See kind of like how to stay consistent, within those drives and keep it going.
Now let's talk about what we actually know on the football side, because that's ultimately what settles quarterback battles, not trackers, not talk radio. Shedeur threw multiple touchdowns across his preseason drives. That's real, verified, on tape. He's also talked openly about needing to play a cleaner, more consistent game from drive to drive, which is the kind of self-aware, coachable answer teams want to hear from a young quarterback trying to climb a depth chart. Meanwhile, the case for Deshaun Watson getting every opportunity isn't about performance either. It's about investment, both financial and organizational. That's the reality Goldhammer laid out. Whether that's fair to Shedeur or not depends entirely on what happens once real football starts. As for reaction, here's what we can actually confirm. Deion Sanders Jr. made his feelings known publicly, directly calling attention to the missing touchdowns. That's on the record. Beyond that, this story is still developing in real time, which means how the fan base, the media, and the organization respond in the coming days is going to shape this conversation just as much as anything that's already happened. So back to that opening question, why did 2 real touchdowns disappear from a tracker meant to keep things honest? Maybe it's an oversight. Maybe it's something bigger. What's clear is that the moment Deion Sanders Jr. put the tape next to the tracker, he exposed a gap between what actually happened on the field and what fans were being shown. And that gap is exactly why people can't stop talking about this. Because here's the truth underneath all of it. Shedeur Sanders doesn't need a favorable tracker to win this job. He needs thrives like the ones he just had. Clean, connected, moving the ball into the end zone to keep happening over and over until there's no tracker, no debate, and no controversy left that can change what everybody already sees with their own eyes. The competition isn't over. The story isn't over. And whatever happens next in Cleveland won't be decided by a chart. It'll be decided the next time Shedeur Sanders steps on that field with the ball in his hands.